Imagine stepping back in time, not to a fairy tale castle, but to the heart of 19th century London. The air is thick with a black choking smog from 1,000 factory chimneys. This is the Victorian era, a time of incredible progress, but also of unimaginable hardship. Welcome to life in a slum. For millions, this was reality. You trudge through streets, slick with mud and waste, to a factory, where you'll spend the next 12, maybe 14 hours. The noise is deafening, a constant clatter and roar of machinery. Your lungs burn with every breath, filled with soot and cotton dust. You're not alone. Beside you are children, some as young as 6. Their small hands perfect for fixing jammed machines. Their childhoods sacrificed for a few pennies a day. When your shift finally ends, you return not to a home, but to a tenement. These buildings are crammed together, rooms divided and subdivided until a single space houses multiple families. There's no running water, no proper sanitation. Disease spreads like wildfire: cholera, typhus, tuberculosis. This isn't just a backdrop for a historical drama. It was the daily struggle for survival for the vast majority of London's population. It was a world of stark contrasts, where the engine of progress was fueled by human suffering. One man saw this suffering and felt compelled to give it a voice. His name was Charles Dickens. Before he became a literary superstar, Dickens knew poverty firsthand. His own father was thrown into a debtor's prison, and a young Charles, just 12 years old, was forced to work in a blacking factory, pasting labels on pots of shoe polish. The humiliation and despair of that experience never left him. It burned within him, fueling a fiery passion to expose the injustices he saw all around him. When you read Oliver Twist, and your heart breaks for a little boy asking for more gruel, that's Dickens pouring his own childhood pain onto the page. When you shiver at the cold-hearted greed of Ebenezer Scrooge, you're seeing Dickens' outrage at the indifference of the rich towards the poor. He wasn't just writing stories, he was wielding his pen like a sword, fighting for social reform. His novels were published in serial installments, and people would line up, desperate to find out what happened next. Through his vivid characters and gripping plots, he forced the comfortable middle and upper classes to look at the poverty they tried so hard to ignore. He made them see the humanity of the people they considered beneath them. But the darkness of Victorian London wasn't just confined to poverty and labor, it had a much more terrifying face. In the autumn of 1888, a shadow fell over the district of Whitechapel. A series of gruesome murders began, targeting women in the area. The killer was methodical, brutal, and seemingly invisible. He became a phantom, a boogeyman whispered about in pubs and parlors. The press, in a frenzy, gave him a name that would echo through history: Jack the Ripper. The panic was immense. The police were baffled, chasing dead ends and false leads. The killer seemed to taunt them, even sending letters to the press, some allegedly signed with his infamous name. But what does the story of Jack the Ripper truly tell us about Victorian London? Well, it reveals a society deeply divided. The victims were all poor women living on the fringes of society, their lives seen as disposable by many. The investigation highlighted the inadequacies of the police force and the stark reality of life in the city's underbelly: dark, unlit alleyways, transient populations, and a pervasive sense of fear. Jack the Ripper was never caught, and his identity remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. He was a monster, born from the darkness and neglect of the Victorian slum. Now, let's leave the grimy, gaslit alleys of Whitechapel and step into another world entirely. A world that existed in the very same city, at the very same time, but might as well have been on another planet. This is the world of the Victorian aristocracy. Imagine grand townhouses in Belgravia and Mayfair, with dozens of rooms, each more opulent than the last. The air here isn't filled with soot, but with the scent of expensive perfume and fresh-cut flowers. Life for the wealthy was a whirlwind of social engagements. A typical day might involve morning calls, an afternoon ride in Hyde Park, then preparations for the main event, the dinner party. And these were no simple meals. A formal dinner could consist of 10, 15, even 20 courses. From turtle soup and turbot to roasted venison, game pies, and elaborate jellies, it was a display of almost obscene excess. While a family in the slums might be starving, a single aristocratic dinner party could feature more food than they would see in a year. This lavish lifestyle was made possible by an army of servants. A large household could have a butler, a housekeeper, cooks, maids, footmen, and stable hands, all working silently behind the scenes to ensure the seamless comfort of their masters and mistresses. There was a rigid hierarchy, from the powerful butler who ruled the staff down to the lowly scullery maid who scrubbed pots and pans for 16 hours a day. This world of glittering balls, intricate social etiquette, and unimaginable wealth stood in stark, almost cruel contrast to the desperate poverty just a few miles away. So you have these two Londons existing side by side. The glittering world of the aristocracy is built on inherited wealth and strict social codes, and the dark, desperate world of the slums, born from the relentless machine of the Industrial Revolution. One was a life of leisure and luxury, the other a daily battle for survival. It's this staggering inequality, this chasm between the haves and the have-nots, that truly defines the Victorian era. It was an age of invention and empire, but also an age of exploitation and despair. A time that shaped our modern world in ways we are still grappling with today. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the complex world of Victorian London. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.
कमरे में घुसता जैसे हाथी टेबल बैठा तो फिर गांधी करते मोटा 4 शो का होते दंगे चलती लाठी हमने हार से सीखा और सीखों से जीत बना दी सोना था हराम तभी तो किस्मत हो रही चांदी चांदी है मीन एक दिन रहता दिल्ली दूजे दिन मैं बैठा बाली पंगा चीते से तो समझो रास्ता बिल्ली काटे काली है कैन सी थ्रू ऑल ऑफ देम ये रैपर सबके सब है जाली जब जब पैरी मांगे पैर तब तब पैरी मांगे पानी you know